Well, it's the tale of leaders failing the people they're supposed to serve. The Camp Fire in Northern California is now the deadliest wildfire in California's history. More than 60 people have been confirmed dead. More than 600, amazingly, are still missing. Firefighters say it will take weeks to contain the blaze. Meanwhile, across the country in New York, a surprise snowstorm yesterday completely paralyzed the country's largest city. Thousands lost power. The mass transit system broke down. People spent the night in their cars. Mayor Bill de Blasio was left at a total loss.
I'm frustrated, too. I'm frustrated as a New Yorker who was stuck in traffic like so many other people were. In truth, this was a kind of perfect storm. It emerged bigger and later than anyone expected. Obviously affected the whole tri-state area in a very severe way.
Yeah, okay, but it was still a snowstorm. Those happen every single year. And so it raises the question, are American leaders still able to handle the basics of governing? Dave Rubin hosts the Rubin Report on YouTube. He joins us now. Dave, thanks a lot for coming on. So I watch the fire in California, which, no single person's responsible for. The snowstorm yesterday in New York, same thing. And then the voting debacles in Broward County, and I'm thinking, keeping the roads clear, the fires quenched, the votes counted, these are the core functions of government, and they can't do them. So what should I infer from that?
Well, we seem to have a lot of things that seem to be crumbling at the same time. I thought I would just quickly tell you something that's sort of personal here. You were on my show a couple weeks ago, and I had a good friend who's a public person, a verified Twitter personality, and a public person, apologized to me yesterday. He said that he couldn't share my interview with you because you're so controversial, it would upset his friends and family and things like that. I relate this to all of this because it seems that just our ability to talk about anything, whether it's how to deal with fires and how to deal with snow or how to talk about politics or everything else, really does seem to be crumbling. I mean, look, you know me. I'm a pretty limited government guy. I don't think the government has a lot of things that it should do, and it gets its hands in all sorts of things that it shouldn't get its hands in. But what the government should be able to do, and I say this as someone that lived in New York City most of my adult life, is the government should be able to handle a snowstorm, even if it's a bit of a surprise snowstorm, when it's 6 or 8 inches. Of course they should be able to deal with that. That being said, Mother Nature is going to do things all the time that we cannot fully prepare for. There are things that are out of humans' control, and I think part of the problem is that we think that we can control everything, and we think that if only the government is funded a certain way or designed a certain way or acts a certain way, that we can remove all acts of God or control all acts of God, I guess is a better way to say it. And we simply can't. And then, of course, the answer for most of the people on the left and the progressives, or certainly guys like Bill de Blasio, it's like, well, then we just need more money and more money and more money. And it's not what you need. It's not more money that you need. It's more preparation. It's more understanding that some strange things are going to happen every now and again. And there might be a snowstorm that you didn't expect, but your team has to be ready. You're in charge, and you're the guy that's got to make sure that it's ready, and don't sit there and be surprised and woe is me, I got stuck in traffic just like everybody else.
But you create, I think every person does, a hierarchy of responsibilities. Not all of the things you want to do are equal in importance. So before you curb carbon emissions and raise the self-esteem of school kids, shouldn't you make sure the roads aren't crumbling and they're plowed? And it just seems like maybe these guys want a global reach, and they're forgetting their basic duties, which are like very ordinary. Plow the roads, put out the fires.
Yeah, I mean, there's basic things that government needs to do. Put out the fires, plow the roads, make sure that we're safe, make sure that people aren't being mugged in the street and that sort of thing. The California fires is a little bit different than a random snowstorm in New York. The California fires, I mean, this thing was absolutely massive. It was statewide. It's still going on, so it's almost a little uncomfortable to talk about, as I think it's around 600 people that are missing at the moment. But I've lived in L.A. It'll just coming up on 6 years, and if I tell you that in Los Angeles in 6 years, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say we've had maybe 30 days of rain in about 6 years. You get a little drizzle here and there, but I don't even remember the last time it rained here. Now, if you want to talk about why that is, and does that have anything to do with climate change and whether that's man-made, et cetera, that's a healthy conversation to have. but the idea that we can just manage and control all of this, and that we always know exactly why it happened, and that everyone who's not in charge suddenly knows that they would be in charge and keep more people safe. It's that sort of armchair quarterbacking that I think just kind of makes everybody go, you know what, politics is just pointless. So we need leaders that are a little more nuanced, a little brighter, and a little more willing to go, it's not just about money all the time. It's about how do we really understand these issues.
And maybe there's a limit to human wisdom. Worth remembering. Dave Rubin, thank you.
There absolutely is.
There certainly is. I bump up against it every day in my own life. Great to see you.
I hear you. Good to see you, Tucker.
President Trump has endorsed